Welcome back to Show Me What I've Been Missing, your pop culture podcast that says, hey, look at that thing. We've had some weird weeks here at Show Me What I've Been Missing. I've been gone, and Chris had to tag out, but we're joined by the lovely and talented, once again, Liz Izzo, aka the
Hi,
original Lizzo.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
So I'm so excited the Elizabeths are uniting.
Yes.
And then hopefully all three of us at some point will get together.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But thank you guys for having me back. Like, I love it so much. It's so fun for me. So thank you.
Yeah, you've been a fantastic, I hate saying fill-in because it's like, oh, you're just filling in. But like,
listen, that's what I am. And I'm happy and I'm proud about it. Like, you know what, because you and Chris are an amazing team and duo. So like, I'm happy just to like jump in.
I'm going to say a fantastic addition. Fill-in undermines what you're bringing to the table, but as loyal listeners know, or viewers, because we're pretty decent on YouTube, thanks everybody. We're going through all of Sex and the City from start to finish. Chris hasn't really seen much of it. I've seen it too many times. You've also, I think, seen it too many times.
So many, all the times.
And we're in the middle of season 4. We just watched season 4, episode 13, The Good Fight. This is one that I definitely have seen on cable 800 million times because, it's not the cleanest episode, but it's easy to edit.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that because I've seen it on cable a million trillion times before. And then when I was watching it on like HBO Max last night, I was like, there's a lot of fucks. Like, I do not remember Aidan just saying fuck like 7 times, like off the jump. And I was like, have I just been like watching like the powdered down baby version of this for like so long that now I'm like, oh shit, Aidan's got some balls.
Yeah, I was watching it, like my friend and I, like a couple of years ago, or like mid-pandemic, like had started to watch it on HBO again, just like as we were going through comfort stuff, and we're like, it's jarring because you're like, oh, there's like stuff I forgot. There's a lot more Samantha development because they usually have to cut so much of her stuff. Yeah. And then like the cursing and like sometimes the nudity, you're like, oh my stars, Sex and the City, how could you?
Well, I completely forgot that like Samantha's tits are, out. Like, which, and normally they are, but like everything gets cut, you're right. So I was like, oh shit. And I was like, damn, she's got good boobs. Like,
So as you've experienced several times now, we're going to just pick a character and start there. I think we could start with Miranda. She has probably the shortest plot line.
Yeah.
And she's just pregnant and horny.
Yeah, she is. And like, good for her for getting that dick. Like, honestly, because I was like going through my head and I was like, oh, if I was in that situation, like, what would I do?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. God.
Oh, go ahead.
And I was like, but here's the thing. She's not planning on like dating this dude, right? Yeah. Like, she's just planning on like seeing him, and he's like in and out of town. So like, and he's hot. So like, get on it. Do you know?
Part of me is like, oh, she should bag that though. He's like an interpreter for the State Department. I feel like she should lock that down.
I know. Could you imagine how different her life would have been if she like locked it down with this dude?
Instead of Steve.
Steve. I know. But Steve does have a special place in my heart, like, because he's such a doofus and like he puts up with Miranda, like then Chris's feeling was like, well, Miranda puts up with him, and I'm like, I know, but I feel like she's a harder sell than he is.
In some ways, yeah. I was catching up on the episodes leading up to this one, and like he proposed in the last episode, and she is like, are you fucking crazy? He's like, that's your answer? Like, that was like that was the thing that I said too. Like, I was like, all right, this is a little bit of a man child. Where he's like, well, I can't afford a ring and a baby, so and I was like, oh my god, childish. All right, I see why. I see his point. I think the moment that always broke me with Steve is when she's like, it was like 2 seasons ago, and she's like, I'm trying to work, and he's like, I'm watching Scooby-Doo. He's like, you're gonna have to get used to this when there's a baby around. And I was like, excuse me? You're gonna have to get used to taking care of that fucking baby yourself, sir.
Agreed. And now that I do take care of other people's children, I can totally understand. Like, I would have wrung his neck, because there's nothing more frustrating in the world than like someone like offloading their problems to you that you are they are completely capable of doing. And it's just like, you're doing literally nothing and I'm doing 10 things. So like, I don't know. Why don't you get off your ass and like help me with your child? I clearly meant to have children or be married, because I'd be like, this is why people commit murder.
This is why there's Dateline episodes.
Exactly. Oh my God.
I do think Miranda needs a anatomy lesson though, because despite many people's fears, a dick cannot like punch through to a baby in the uterus. That's not how it works.
And it was interesting because I was watching this. I was like, I've seen this written in other things. Yeah. And I was like, this is a man wrote this. Like, I'm like, because women know that that's not really how it works. Yeah. So, like, I mean, yes, there's the old wives' tale. That's why people have dimples. But like, okay, whatever. No, like that's not. It's fine. You're not going to injure your child with a pee. Yeah. Oh my God.
The one that sticks out is Knocked Up. They make that same joke where he's like, I'm afraid to like hit the baby. She's like, just do it. And she's also pregnant and horny in that moment in Knocked Up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, guys, read your anatomy books, please.
Please. Speaking of anatomy, I think we can hop over to Samantha and then we'll talk about the fighters for the last two. Samantha likes Richard.
She does. She loves him. And, you know, when I watched this back, like when I was in college for the first time, I could never really understand like why Samantha was so reserved, right? Like I was like, just like, what is your problem? Like, you like him, he likes you. Now I'm sitting in a whole different situation. And I don't know if it's because of the situation that I just recently went through. Mm-hmm. The dude who was similar, I didn't know it at the time, but felt similar to Richard in the fact that, you know, Richard wants to enjoy the company of many women, right? He can like be with this woman in the moment, but he also he feels like he needs other women to like whatever, satisfy his needs or whatever. Yeah. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, you know, Samantha's trying really hard to be smart, right? She's trying not to let her feelings get involved, because I think ultimately she knows kind of who Richard is. I mean, he says it from the jump, right? Like he told her when they first met, like, I don't want to be in relationships. I like to just carry girls off to this and that and like do my own thing. And Samantha was like, yeah, so do I. But even when we as women, I don't know how you feel about this, but even I've done it so many times. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. No problem. And then I'm like, oh, not cool with that. Yep. You know?
I tried to play it too cool. And I had like, I've talked about this before. I had like a situationship with a guy I worked with at an old job. And I really liked him, like probably more than he liked me in the long run. And he knew that. And so like, you know, we had like hooked up, and then like he texted and was like, I was just seeing someone and I'm not, and I don't know. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's totally cool. It was not totally cool. I was so like crushed and it sucked.
It's like the most soul crushing, because I lived in New York for like 6.5, 7 years. So I was always in situationships, and I always convinced myself like, I'm going to be fine. It's totally cool. No problem. You know? And I was like, but I was never fine. Yeah. And now I would like to think in my 30s, I'm wiser than that. But like, I remember distinctly a dude who like, he asked me on a date, and then I'm like standing around with like his friend, and it comes out that he has like a girlfriend, and it was the most awkward thing in the world. But like, I was like, well, I'm not going to leave, because I'm not going to let him know that I know. So I'm just going to, and I was like, well, maybe these guys like don't really know what the situation is. It was just so awkward. And I remember staying, and he was like trying to explain the situation to me. He's like, listen, like it's an open relationship, and like, I don't want to like a girlfriend, but like I want to just like date people. And like, I liked him, right? I liked him so much. And I think I was just like super attracted to him. And I think it was like a lot of my ego where I was like, oh, he likes me back.
Yep.
And so
Oh my God.
I literally continued this shit show for months. And it was just like, to the point where I was like, he literally called me for New Year's Eve and he's like, I know you're invited to this party, but like, I just want to like let you know that I'm bringing eat. So like, I don't want to make it awkward for you. And I was like, okay. Like, and then I was like, yeah. But it's like, yeah.
I wish the guy had done that because like, I feel like he never mentioned that he had a girlfriend or was seeing someone until we were going to like a Halloween party at like another coworker's place. And I like came downstairs to like the outside area and he's like all canoodling with her and they're in like almost like matching costumes. And I was like, ugh.
And do like guys not think like especially in like a similar social circle, like do they not have brains in their head to like know like, hey, this person's probably gonna see me with this other person, or do you not care? Like, I don't know. The situation that I literally just got myself out of was very like, it very much felt like this whole Samantha Richard thing because it went on for over a long period of time. And I in the back of my head, I was like, there's probably other girls, but like, I didn't want to ask the question because I didn't want to have the answer. So like, yeah, I was a little bit at fault for that. But then when I finally questioned and I was told that, this person like just, was dating a lot of other people.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. This is not my jam. But like, I think it was like that Richard thing of like, but what's wrong with that? Like, I can enjoy company and so-and-so's company and it's totally fine. And I kept thinking, and so like when I watch these episodes, I'm like very triggered. I'm like, don't do it. I want to like jump through the thing and be like, don't do it, Samantha. You're right. Hold in your heart, your feelings. Like,
yeah, because she isn't spilling all the like gory details at brunch of,
yeah.
And that's how they're like, ooh, you like him.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I don't. And then that's when she's like, he has a perfect dick. And they're like, okay, all right, I guess we buy that you don't like him, wink, wink. Except you totally do. And they like, she goes to his office after, I know, she changes outfits, by the way, from brunch to the office.
Yes.
Into something way sexier. Just hilarious.
Like, just to like, pick up papers, right?
Yeah, and give him a beach in the open concept office. No, thank you. Don't do that.
I know.
That's gross.
I was watching that scene and I kept thinking about that happened. So I can't say one of my friends walked in on this guy. We suspected this guy was having an affair with this girl, but we didn't know for sure. And one of my friends happened to walk into his office because the lights were off and she just had to get something. She like walked into his office and the girl that we suspected him having an affair with on the floor picking up papers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I've seen Sex in the City. You're never just picking up papers. Yeah. But good for Samantha for like literally laying it all out for literally everyone to see.
Yeah, she's got no fear, and I have mad respect that. And then he also gives her like a beautiful pink rose, and she's like really likes it and keeps it until she throws it out. She's like, no, I can't catch feelings.
I know.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say this episode I think it's so hard, like because I know what happens, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like kind of sad because she's like trying so hard to hold in her feelings, and then she finally lets her guard down. But it's like the question that I wrote down was like, what is his end game? Like, why does he want to try to romance her? Like, why, because he has her.
Yeah. Because I don't know. Because he, you think they're just hooking up. And then she, after like the disastrous Charlotte Trey dinner, she goes and it's a rooftop with a pool and he's got dinner and she's like, hey, I'm on to you, mister. I only want, sex and business and that's it. And he's like, okay. And then they strip down. We get the briefest flash of penis on Sex and the City.
If you pause it, you can see full peen.
Yeah, up close, and then it's you can kind of there's wider shots where there's full frontal, but it's not the it's not the
same. Yeah.
I actually rewound it because I was like, oh wait, did they show a dick on Sex and the City?
Yeah, I remember when I watched it for the first time, my friend was obsessed with getting us to see the dick. Like I just remember she like literally rewound it and paused it and rewound like 1,000 times. She's like, look, it's a dick, look. Like it's like such a crazy concept because like I feel like up until that point we've only ever seen women and boobs and vagina, and so like seeing like a full-on dick was like a cool thing. Yeah.
And they do the hot skinny dipping, and then they get out of the pool and they're in like fuzzy robes, and he's like, dance with me, and there's music playing and everything, and it is very romantic, and so much that like they're dancing and she's like, I'm still about the sex, haha, like, slides her hand down towards his crotch, but then he moves her hand back up to like his shoulder or whatever to hold it. And I was like, that's romantic. Like, hey, I'm not trying to like get more sex out of you. Like, let's truly dance on this rooftop together.
I know. And it almost makes me like Richard, but then I'm like, but what, like, I guess it's a question for like later down the line, right? But like, why you didn't have to, maybe I'm just taking this really personally. Like, you didn't have to do thing that buy me dinner. But like it boggles my mind, like Richard's thought process of like, because they're already hooking up and Samantha's already agreed to play his game. So is it one of those things where it's like when you get what you want, you don't necessarily want it, right? Like, so Richard's
maybe because she is sort of unattainable in a way, at least emotionally, and that might be the game there for him. Is like, I can get her to have sex with me whenever I want, but I want like this emotional part, even though I'm not maybe the most emotional guy. And so I'm going to poke through that wall and see what I can get out of that for me. And it's all ego boost at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, he's still at the core of who he is, right? He wants to have his cake and eat it too. And,
man, that's a complicated business relationship too.
I know. Crazy.
So then that brings us to Charlotte and Trey. Now, I don't know how you feel about Trey. I have always kind of liked Trey because Trey's super dorky and I'm kind of super dorky. So like I get him in a weird way.
Yeah. I think Trey has always, it's the last few episodes where he like really bugs me.
Yeah.
Because I just think he's being super insensitive. Like I think just being, and he's not willing to like listen to like Charlotte's point of view, her feelings, nothing. He like wants to gloss over it. Like, well, this is not, it never happened. This isn't happening. We're not. And he's like not capable of having any type of like real emotional connection with her. And for me, that's where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I do agree. He loses me a little in this chunk of events because she, after the brunch, she's back there. She's like, hey, I'm going to have like a girls only dinner because now that they're not doing baby stuff, her schedule's kind of wide open. She's not tied down to like having to do shots or they're, having sex at certain times and all these things. And, he's like, well, we might have theater tickets to the producers. And the way she's looking at him is just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we can still try to have fun, just because we're not doing whatever. But it's like, you kind of pulled the rug out from under your wife in a big way.
Yes.
You can't pretend that this decision, and she says it clearly at the table. She's like, well, we're stopping in vitro and now I have all this free time and it's kind of weird because I've always wanted a child and now I'm not going to be getting one very likely. So what do I do with my time? And he's like, have you seen the producers?
The producers. I mean, listen, at the time it was a very, very hot ticket item show. I remember that very clearly.
Oh yeah.
But still, like, that is not the thing that's gonna get your wife to like all of a sudden not be angry because you just took baby off the table, and like in just like a very like flippant way. You're like, well, I just don't want to do this anymore. Like, we're just gonna, you know. And then also like blaming her for her mood swings when she's the one that's going through this. She's the one taking hormones, and it probably is having mood swings, but like that's how she's willing to put her body through all of that because that's how badly she. The least you can do is just sit there and be supportive, you know?
Yeah. But he does bring a baby into the situation. The cardboard cutout baby. One of the most infamous moments, I think, in the show's history.
I was so not happy, but I was like, oh, yes, I get to talk about this moment because for years, it has bothered me, right? A cardboard cutout of a baby. What the hell are you thinking? You don't have a brain it's like stuffed with straw. Yeah.
And he's so pleased with himself. He's like, it's supposed to be funny.
That's the thing that makes it just like the most awkward when he's like, come on, we can have a giggle about it. And he like keeps doubling down on like, funny. It's funny. And she's clearly upset. She's like, I don't think it's funny. It's definitely not funny. And then I'm like, read the room, bro. Like she's already told you this shit is upsetting to her. And then you show it to her friends.
And oh my God. He walks in on the dinner and she's like, you're not supposed to be here, poor Charlotte. And he's like, I guess you know, she's told you about our fight about the baby. And she's like, shut up. And he's like, let me go get it. And you'll get that it's funny. Like, I love that he's like, Carrie, you're funny. You'll get why it's funny.
The whole time I'm thinking, is Carrie funny? Like, no, I don't know.
Not really.
No, she's not. Maybe she thinks she is, but like.
And I love that Charlotte's like, well, just don't yell, it's in our DNA. And then they have like a full-on screaming match as they all quietly leave the dinner.
I know. But that was like my favorite moment was when she's like, don't you bring that baby! You know, because it was like all of the frustration and the anger and the hurt that she's been holding inside, she finally like unleashed. And like, if somebody took away the thing that I wanted the most in this world, but then like kind of like made fun of me in a way for wanting it, I would be so much less composed than Charlotte.
Yeah.
Like, I come from an Italian family, so like we throw shit, like throwing shoes, throwing books, throwing wooden spoons, you know, you name it, you can grab it with your hands, it gets thrown at you.
I'm mostly Irish, got a lot of fight in me. We've never like physically fought, but there's a lot, like my brother and I are this. I think that I'm being triggered because Trey is a doctor. My brother and I have been dealing with doctors regarding our mom with all this complicated medical stuff, and these guys are a little cold. We've had one doctor in particular who has been like condescending, a bit callous, told us to Google stuff, and we're like, you know, it's on site, as they say. Like, you know, if we see her in the street, man, it's just gonna be like surprise Irish fist fight out of nowhere because it's just like
wow. But doctors are, I think, and maybe that is a character trait that they're trying to put on Trey. Like, he's waspy and he's a little bit more cold because he is a doctor, and so he's like clinical and you know, but you're right, like doctors tend to be more like by the numbers clinical. Like, you know, my dad got diagnosed with CLL, I think almost a year and a half ago at this point. And I just remember his doctor being like, just giving us numbers. I'm like, I don't know what this means. What is this? What do you say? And the doctor's like, well, you wasted he's like, 15 minutes are up. And I remember my mom being like, I don't give a shit if my 15 minutes are up. Like, we're going to stay and ask our questions.
Oh, we're not getting numbers. So that's our battle because my mom had a stroke, and so we're trying to figure out like what's her recovery going to look like if it's at all possible. And the answer we just keep getting is like, well, anything's possible. And it's these vague answers where like, so you've never seen a patient her age, her conditions, her this, that, and the other thing. You there's no pattern that you've seen that can be established. You just can't say anything. And they're like, anything can happen. And we're like, if one more person tells us that,
anything can happen, I'm gonna
anything can happen, and it's gonna be like a fist in the hospital. I don't it's so frustrating. But no, it's all good. Like, you gotta joke about it to power through.
Listen, I totally understand. I totally understand.
My therapist backed that up. She's like, humor is like a high functioning way of like dealing with things. And I was like, excellent. So I'm winning this. But yeah, Charlotte and Trey have their fight, and then they sleep in separate rooms. I love when she walks in and chucks that stupid cardboard baby out.
I'm surprised she like didn't cut it up into pieces.
Yeah.
Like,
or like snapped it over her knee.
Snapped it over him. I know. But just like the thought of like, oh, I was walking by a novelty store and I saw this cardboard baby. I thought it was funny. Like, that just, I mean, and obviously we know that's the end of their relationship because they're completely on different planets at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If you think a cardboard baby is funny, like, first of all, your sense of humor sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, is there a joke that I'm missing? Like, but yeah, I'm surprised she didn't just take it and like put it like right over his head. And,
yeah.
I would love to have seen
punch it over his head so like his head's where the baby's head is. And
yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, I like, like I said, I like Trey kind of up until these last few episodes, and I'm like, yeah, he's not the like he gets, I think, ranked kind of low in the boyfriends husbands category.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh, but I like him, and then I remember, oh no, wait, there's this run of actions that really torpedoes his score overall.
I mean, and then it begs, the question, like, what does Trey ultimately want? Like, did he ever, like, what does he ultimately want? Does he want a family, or is he just, he's not really willing at the end of the day to like put in the work to like do what it takes to like build a family with Charlotte. And I don't think she was ever not clear about wanting children and a family. Like, it's not like
no.
She
not at all. I think he thought this was what he was supposed to do, is find another like wasp, girl, follow like his mom's instructions, even though I mean, Bunny was gonna hate whoever he married. It didn't matter. Trey could have married like the most perfect like clone of Bunny, and Bunny would have been like, I don't care for her.
Yeah.
Like, true. It wouldn't have mattered, but that's what he was raised to be expected to do, is find a wasp girl, start a family, be a doctor, do all these things. And so it's sort of like he's almost getting a chance to get out of that, and was like, with the news that Charlotte has like the 15% chance of being pregnant, this is his out. It's no one's fault. It's just, it's unfortunate, and no one did anything in particular to break them up in that sense. But it's like kind of convenient for him in a way to be like, I don't have to, I think he does like Charlotte at the end of the day, maybe not love, but he does care for her in a way. But they were so doomed from the start,
Yes, I know. And like, I secretly think that maybe Trey is gay, and like, I would love to see Trey come back in what's the
And Just Like That.
There we go, Just Like That. And like, he could be like an amazing gay character. Like,
I'd even buy him as like asexual.
Yeah.
Because he sort of is like, I don't mean to call it weird, but he is sort of like unexpectedly disinterested in sex in certain ways. And that's very much my like limited understanding of like asexuality, or there's like sort of the counterpart of is aromantic, where like you just don't feel those feelings about people, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's like almost like a weird, like an early version or early representation of that without meaning to be, because he is he's a kind, good person. It cares for her, but like in a weird way, I don't think he like loves her,
right. There's always their relationship has always had that weird like disconnect to me. And I also don't know if that's because, you know, he was literally her Prince Charming, right? And then, but it was like all that like glitters is not gold, you know, like and it's interesting because she makes a comment that her and Trey got engaged after a month.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it's like you really didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And now you're suffering the consequences.
And they didn't have sex before they got married, which
that's right. Yeah.
That was the whole the first half of the marriage was a big problem. And they got married super fast.
Yeah.
It was like 6 months or something all told before they got married, and then they, you know, weren't or he wasn't particularly fulfilling her sexual needs. So they separated, and then now they can't have a baby. It's just no.
Yeah, it was just doomed from the start. It was a Romeo and Juliet tragedy. Not, you know, never gonna make it. The stars just weren't gonna align for these two.
Truly. But so far, I know we know where things are going with Carrie and Aidan. I don't think we need to pretend Chris isn't here. He does know who Carrie ends up with overall in the end, but obviously doesn't know the journey. But Carrie and Aidan are moving in together into her like studio, I guess.
Yeah,
it's a studio, and his shit is everywhere.
Everywhere.
They needed to downsize their respective things though before they agreed to move in.
I mean, really, like I like, and I was also thinking too, like, A, why does Aidan have just so much stuff? And B, why did he move it in so quickly? Like, why did all these boxes so quickly? Like, there's storage units in New York. Like, why is everything literally everywhere where you guys can't even walk in the door? I mean,
it's unsafe.
It's unsafe. Like, I think Carrie like is not really graceful or tactful when with her approach with Aidan. Like,
no.
But I did live with someone who was like, I can't even. If I said that they were messy, that would be like nice. Like I couldn't explain. Just they like Aidan like to leave their stuff literally everywhere, and I'm like picking up their shit everywhere, and it drove me crazy. Because you want your house to be your home, like your sanctuary. And now, and also too, Carrie's dealing with like all these feelings of like, this is the first guy she's lived with, and like, does she really want to live with him? Does she want to marry him? Blah blah blah. Does she love him? I say no to all these questions. I don't think she really I mean, obviously, and I think in this episode specifically, it is so apparent how she really feels about Aidan. Like, maybe Aidan doesn't know, and like he thinks that she's frustrated, and maybe Carrie to some degree is convincing herself that she's frustrated because like of the boxes and the messiness. He's up her ass, like won't let her, you know, like
he's peppering her with questions when she comes in the door, which is like, I mean, to a certain, I haven't lived with like a guy ever, and I do low key. I don't dread it because like obviously I want a partner. I want I want a fella.
Me too.
But I'm like, I have my little sanctuary going, and I'm like, that's gonna be hard to break, man.
Elizabeth, you are a girl after my own heart. Like, I've literally been like, do I have to live with the person? Like, I don't know. Because I do very much enjoy my space and my neutral corner and just like my zen. However, I question if I was really all in, right? If I like really found my person and I really like loved them and wanted to be with them, wouldn't I be excited? Like, wouldn't I be all in? Wouldn't I be like, yeah, there's boxes, but whatever, like, we're moving, we'll get it sorted. Like, wouldn't I have a little bit more grace?
Yeah. Like, my brother is married, and they, you know, live together, obviously, in the house with kids and stuff like that. and they like go to like separate spaces, you know, as needed and stuff like that, but they're still, yeah, they're happy to be together and happy to live together. And you're exactly right. Like she should be like excited, like, yeah, maybe there's frustration about the boxes, and even he's frustrated. Like I love she sees the little old neighbor lady and who's like, I'm not moving for 30 days, and then she tells Aidan, and he's like, and that's when he's like, fuck.
I know, like,
and it's like, yeah, of course no one wants to live like that with all the boxes and stuff everywhere. But yeah, I think she's taking it as like a weird like personal affront that all his shit's everywhere. But it's like, no, you're just trying to combine spaces, and you should be happy about doing that if this is the man you're going to marry,
right,
and be with together forever. You're gonna inherit each other's shit, like.
I know. And like, it was interesting watching her have it to clean out her closet, because I was like, I had mixed feelings. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I hate cleaning out my closet, because like I am a sentimental person, and I get attached to weird shit that like I don't wear, but it's just like, oh, but like maybe one day I will, you know?
Yeah.
And so I get that whole sentimental, like, oh, but I love this. But like at the end of the day, like if it's not serving you, like, okay, you got to get rid of it. You got to make room. Like, how are you going to like make space for something new to come into your life if like your old shit is just cluttered with stuff you don't need, you know?
And as he kind of says, like as they're arguing around and around, you know, he's like, it's kind of a way to like deflect him, you know, from getting in closer, which he's talked to her about before. And then the fight does kind of crack me up. So like it just keeps going to like Pete the dog like chews one of her shoes, and that sets things off. And then I love when she's like, why do you have 5 sticks of deodorant? He's like, they're different scents. And she's like, and this and that, and Rogaine, you use Rogaine? And I always like, I don't. When he's like, it's preventative.
That is my favorite moment, I think, maybe in the show of all time, because like it just sticks in your mind. Like she's just like oh, yeah, like this and this and this, and then she's like, and then she stops and has that moment of like, oh my god, you use Rogaine? Like, I don't know you. You have secrets too, right? And then he's just like, he's like so butthurt about it. It's so sad. And then he's like goes and like looks in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Aidan.
Oh yeah, because I think they were trying to coin a term that did not take off, the secret single behavior thing, where it's like,
oh yeah,
weird things you do when you're home alone with like no one around, and it's like, yeah, everyone like eats weird food combos or does like stuff. Yeah, I love that Samantha doesn't do. There's nothing Samantha wouldn't do in front of a guy, which
I know.
Perfect, right in character.
I just love how Miranda turns to her in that moment. Was like, you know what? I believe you.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where a little bit of my Samantha comes in, because I'm like, I don't have weird things that I would feel weird to do in front of a guy. Like, I mean, this is who I am. Like, I do have a really bad vice where I watch like every single housewife show. Oh. So like, I think when I date, I have to gauge their level of like, are you going to think I'm a student odd for watching this? Because like, if you are, then we're probably not a match. If you're watching NPR and I'm watching Housewives to relax. And like, at the end of the day, like, you don't have to like support it, but like, just let me do my thing.
Yeah. Like I'm like I love like a bad movie, and like do like the Mystery Science Theater 3000, like make fun of it. So I'm like, you got to be willing to like go along for the ride for bad movies, and like maybe we even go to the theater and waste a little money on a bad movie. Like, it's just got to ride with it. And I actually put my dating profiles. I like scary movies a lot. I love horror movies. I'm not like weird, like super intense about it, but I'm like, I like them, and I don't want to go alone to them. Like, and so, because I've seen profiles where some guys are like, oh, I don't like horror movies. It's like, no, like, it's not like it wasn't the ultimate deal breaker or anything like that, but it's like, it's lonesome if like, you know, I want to like go see something scary, and like it's hard to find. Most of my like girlfriends aren't into scary movies, and like I saw Hereditary by myself. That's an intense watch alone, you know, in the theater. And someone dropped a bunch of change in the middle of the movie, and it really threw off like just made everyone extra tense because everyone was like, what's happening? Why is there all this happening? And then the craziness in the movie.
I thank you for doing that alone. I hate scary movies. I hate horror movies. They scare the shit out of me. And like mainly like because I'm a child, I have to come sleep with the lights on for like weeks, you know. Like I had a really hard time watching The Haunting on Hill House. Like I would have to watch it in the middle of the day with all the lights on, all the windows like open, like with my roommate at the time because I was just so scared shitless. Like I'm a big scaredy cat.
No, that was a good series, but yeah, there was some like really scary moments. So like. I watched it with my mom at the time because she was visiting or something. It was around Halloween. We were watching it, and there was some jump scare that got both of us like super hard. Like she like pops up in the car. We were like, ah! Like it was just
yeah.
Like holy shit!
That's what the intense moments of like, what's gonna happen, and like I had a lot of anxiety, and I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen?
I'm an anxious person too, so it's really weird that I'm like, this is like relaxing for me. I love the scary movie.
I love that.
I only ever turned off one, Sinister with Ethan Hawke. That one was really fucking creepy, and I was watching it like home alone, like as I typically do. And I was like just kind of chilling, but like the creepy home movies in it, I just about like a quarter of the way through the movie, I was like, I don't feel comfortable. I'm gonna turn this off. It's like the only scary movie I've ever turned off, and I keep seeing it actually pop up as like the scare like of recent like past 25 years. People have been like, no, that is the scariest one they've seen, and I was like, yeah, it's fucking creepy.
I'm gonna pass on, take your word for it, and I'm just gonna pass on that.
You're like, sounds good, not doing it. But so then Carrie storms out and goes to Starbucks and is like, maybe everybody who's writing at a Starbucks just got in a fight. I'm like, no, that's not what's happening, but dream on, sister.
I know. And then I was like, that's so pretentious of you to be like, oh, I always thought Starbucks was just like, ugh. And I'm like, what is wrong? Don't hate on the Starbucks. I love Starbucks, okay? Like, I spent many a time in a Starbucks, like, what are you too good for the Starbucks? Is that what you're saying?
If anything, it's an upscale McDonald's for me when it comes to like road trip bathroom locations.
Yes.
If I have a choice between the Starbucks and the McDonald's, I'm like, I think I'm going to the Starbucks to take Starbucks.
Literally every time.
And when I was out of town, hence all your amazing guest starring, but there weren't Starbucks like conveniently located, and I'm not a coffee drinker to begin with, and I don't go very often, although I recently discovered the iced green tea, like the matcha latte. That's dangerous for me. So the whole time I was there, I was like, I wonder if there is like a Starbucks nearby conveniently that I could swing through or get my brother to drive me through. Because I'm like, if I got like full Californian and I was like, I need my Starbucks, I just need this iced latte thing so bad. And we don't have enough time to get into how weird my week's been, but I had to get a rental car because my car was stolen and lit on fire and left abandoned and got towed.
Oh my God. I love that you're laughing at this horrible thing.
Well, it's like, as I said, it's been a weird, couple weeks with the mom stuff. And then I was flying home Sunday as of this recording. And I had left my car at my aunt and uncle's who live here in LA because they live really close to LAX. And it's like just convenient. And they are always like, it's either a short Uber ride if they're not available, or they usually like are super cool and pick me up or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was just texting before my flight, and I had a layover. So before the first flight, I was like, hey, I just forgot to confirm, are you guys around this evening? So I could grab my keys in my car. And they're like, yeah, of course. And then they were like, I think your car got towed. Like a neighbor called it in. Bummer. We moved it around for street sweeping. It's sort of weird. Someone would call it in, but they don't love the neighbors is a little whatever. Maybe somebody just thought it was abandoned. And then I go, okay, give them information to like hopefully get it out of the tow yard. But I was kind of like, they're probably not going to release it. I'm the owner and I'm not there.
Yeah.
And then I get to Chicago for my layover, and my uncle calls me and he goes, your car was stolen and lit on fire. And I went, oh, haha. So what's the deal with the tow yard? He was like, I'm not fucking with you. And I started to literally laugh, cry in the Chicago Midway Airport. I must have looked insane because I was like laughing super hard, but had like big fat tears coming down at the same time because I was like, of course, man, of course, my car.
Wait, how did they find that out though? Did like the police?
The tow yard got a hold because they looked up like where it got towed to, and they called the tow place and they said, oh, it's burnt. There's fire damage, and they hadn't seen it. So Monday I went to like the police station and stuff that was complicated because they're like, so it's recovered. I was like, yeah, but like I didn't leave it like it. I didn't do that to my car. So I got like the police report and then got to the tow yard or other way around. And the guy, I handed him my little pass to go on the lot, and oh my God, he looked at me like a doctor delivering bad news. He was like, oh, this is the car you're coming to identify the body. And then I saw it, and it's so torched. It's insane. I'll have to text you the photos.
Oh my God.
And maybe we can post them with the episode just for fun, because it's
oh my God.
It's so burnt. It's crazy. So I dealt with all that, and then Tuesday I got my rent-a-car. I have like a white Volkswagen Tiguan, like compact SUV, and I normally drive like a little sedan thing. Yeah. And I got Starbucks. I was like, don't I feel like Miss California with my Starbucks and a little compact SUV? We're turning this day around. Then I found out I got exposed to COVID and I had to work from home the rest of the week.
Oh no.
We're doing great.
What a week. Oh my God.
What a week.
You know what? Thank God that you can laugh about this. I think I would be like under my couch just sobbing, like not wanting them.
It's a real roller coaster, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sure.
And that's part, I'm like, so I want a partner so that they can deal with shit on my behalf sometimes.
Yes. Listen, I totally get that. I had said to Chris, I was like, I want a partner like Aidan. He's like, you don't want a partner like Aidan. I'm like, I do. I want a nice guy who's going to do nice shit for me. Yeah. Who's, who's going to want to be with me, right? Like he wants to be with Carrie. And even when Carrie literally says I'm walking in the apartment and I need you not to talk to me. No, just don't. I'm like, you're such a bitch.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. That's so I get not wanting to be bombarded with stuff. And it's almost in a weird way, kind of an improvement on her to communicate that after they've had a huge blowout fight and had to wait 3 days before either of them apologized.
Yeah.
But this is something she could have said sooner. The first time she walked in and he peppered her with questions, she could have been like, hey, I just need I need a whole hour's and a lot. Hey, I need 5 minutes when I come in, just give me a few minutes and I'll talk to you. And I think that's totally acceptable, for anybody, roommates, partners, whoever, but yeah, Aidan is a solid dude in that sense. He showed up to Miranda's mom's funeral. He saved Miranda. He's a better boyfriend to Miranda. When she threw out her neck or whatever. But he is the type of guy who would if my car had been stolen, he would have been let me try to
he would have just got you a car.
Yeah, got me a new car. My uncle's great too. He tried to file a police report on my behalf, but they're you're not the owner, you can't do it, so sorry. And he was like, okay. But that's the nice partner stuff you want someone to do. What do you call it? And that's what I would love to have in my life, but I wouldn't scream at him if he used Rogaine.
Same. It's this is how I'm like, Carrie, you're taking this guy for granted. You just don't even know. And again, I think it's because I'm sitting on the side of, rounding the bend of 40 and still being single and like really wanting a supportive partner. And I'm like, you have a great guy in front of you. Like, what is your issue? And listen, we don't all connect with everybody, and that's fine, but like, don't drag this poor man along on this ride that you are intending to jump off of.
Exactly. I get like everybody needs differences. If you're dating the exact same person as you, that'd be weird, or good, whatever. But like, they're very different personalities and interests and stuff like that. Like the whole, going to the wood stuff, after she again screams at him in the cabin, then it's like, I'm sorry, I don't like the woods, and then she like finds the compromise. Like, why not do that up front, or be honest up front and be like, hey, I'll go to the cabin with you a few times, but like, I'm not doing weeks at a time. I'm like a weekend only kind of thing, but I'm happy for you. I'm glad. I know you love this thing, and I will do my best to support it within the limits of my like capability to do so.
Right.
Like I always joke, and this is true, I am not into sports, but if I like get a boyfriend or partner, whoever, who is like super into sports, like I was like, I'm prepared to be a sports widow. Like, I mean,
or I will think, I always say that, or I'm like, you know what, like there's certain sports that I can get into. Like I'll get into, I love football. Like I'll get into football. Like I like going to baseball games. I'll get into baseball. If you're a hockey fan, probably lost, but I support you,
But, and like, I have hobbies that I could like do during the game. Like I like cross stitching and like embroidery and stuff. I'm like, doing that during a game, it's a perfect thing to do to entertain myself. If he's like, watch the game with me, and I was like, I don't really want to. People are like, how can you watch things and do needlepoint? I'm like, it's the same as being on your phone. You're half on your phone, half watching. There's really no difference. But and I get, like, I do get why her and Aidan don't fully jive for a lot of reasons, beyond also her stupid hang up about Big. We're backtracking in a big way here, but
I know. And to be honest, like as I watch like the past like couple episodes and like her trajectory with Aidan, more and more I feel like she got back with Aidan because it was one of those things again where it's like she wanted what she couldn't have, and then when she got it, she didn't really want it. You know what I mean? Like not in the way that she thought she did, and like she knew she wasn't going to be able to be all in and commit to Aidan. Like Aidan is literally like all in. He's moving in with her. He like proposed to her, and every one of these steps, she's like, I don't know. Yeah. Well, I think that's saying because you don't really want to be with him. You just don't want to not be with him. And that's like, you're being selfish.
Yeah.
Like a dick move because you realize he's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
But like, he's not for you. So like, let him go. But then you dragged him back into your bullshit, not once, but twice. And he's like trying to confront you on this shit. You're literally like putting it on him like he's the problem when it's
yeah. And yet we're supposed to root for her and be like, no, she's in the right. She's the character we're supposed to like best.
But like, he's really kind of selfish and rude and not sympathetic at all.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
It's hard sometimes. Miranda is hard to deal with, but I like kind of like her and get her. I've always vied with Charlotte because I'm a little uptight, I won't lie. But on this rewatch, Samantha's the character who, like, from start to now to finish, I realized I was like, we did her dirty, oh, she's the slutty one. No, she's the best friend anyone could ask for. She is so supportive of all those girls, and they all give her shit, about having too much sex or whatever. And she's never been ashamed of it. She's never been shy about it and never lied or like, she's just, I'm team Samantha all the way through and through. Yeah. I get why she bowed out of And Just Like That and fucked off to London.
I know.
To never text with them again. I get it.
Well, yeah, because in the way she is too good for them, really.
Yeah.
She's too good for them. So, and again, I agree. I like want a shirt that says like Team Samantha because I'm
gonna add that to we have merch ideas. I'm adding Team Samantha to our list of merch ideas.
I will buy a Team Samantha t-shirt because I think she's the one that has the most moral compass of all of them. And and she's supposed to, she's supposed to be the one that's like the heathen, but she's not. She's just not. She like consistently does the right thing, and she's always true to herself.
She's she's one of those people who's brutally honest in the way people like to say they're brutally honest, but they're really just rude. Yeah. She's truly brutally honest, but she's honest with herself and with other people. It's not just, she just doesn't say like shitty things to people because she can. She's like, this is the reality of like your situation. She's always up front with them. It's Samantha all the way.
And I think I sympathize with her now more than ever because for her being in like, and I guess this kind of goes back to the Richard thing and it'll come back later, based in like season 6, I think. But being in a relationship doesn't come naturally to her. It's very hard for her, and opening up and exposing her feelings is really hard. And I get that because that's how I am. You know what I mean? Like when you've been single for so long, that's all you know. And so like testing waters and like trying to open up and like really be vulnerable is just like the hardest thing in the world. And so like I commend Samantha for trying to do it.
Yeah.
And then I have a lot of thoughts, which I won't say now, but about her and Richard down the line.
Yeah. Save it for future episodes.
I will.
But we'll wrap it up there with the reminder that Samantha is and will always be the best character on the show. And thank you again for taking over for another episode. It's been so fun. We always repeat our Instagram handles, so where can they find you on the internet?
So you can find me on Instagram at Elizabeth_Izzo. And I think when you see me, it pops up as Lizzie Lou. But it's Elizabeth_Izzo.
Lizzie Lou, like Lou?
Yeah.
Okay.
L-I-E and then Lou, Lou. I don't really remember why I changed it, and I don't remember why.
Mine's Elizabeth Movies across Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I made a TikTok about my Bizarro like week situation, and my apartment building manager actually saw it. She texted me because I'm car shopping now, so I was like, do we have like plug-in? Because I kind of want a hybrid. I'm like, do we have plug-in things? And she's like, no, we might get some installed. And then a couple days later, she was like, oh, I saw your TikTok came across before you page. And she's like, that's insane. Like I said, I will text you the photos after we're done here. Because your jaw will be on the floor. And then you can find our Show Me What podcast show, again, most easily by going to Instagram first. It's Show Me What podcast, all lowercase, and that'll take you to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all the places you can find us around the internet. And as always, we have the Arlo Australia candles deal, promo code Show Me Miss, all caps. Save a little money on some legit good smelling candles. I think they smell better than Bath and Body Works. Controversial, I know, but it's real scents, real oils, all that good stuff. And until next time, we will see you later.
Bye, guys. Bye.